Welcome back. The Grand Bahama Port Authority continuing the restoration efforts, which includes the restoration of street lights, traffic lights, street signs, and cleanup. In this report, the city manager of the GBPA gives an update. Natalia Hall reports.
Electricity was fully restored to Grand Bahama in a 5-week period, but at night some of the streets still remained dark due to the lack of street lights that were damaged by Hurricane Matthew. City manager of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Troy McIntosh, says the GBPA is working hand in hand with the Grand Bahama Power Company. McIntosh says an assessment was completed on Friday to determine the amount of streetlights that are in operation.
Right now we are preliminary, but we're finding somewhere around 80% of the lights are currently either out or inoperable, or they have not yet been replaced by the power company. I spoke with the power company Friday as well, and they are actually working on looking at how they're going to go about phasing and re-erecting and correcting some of those issues.
The city manager says the good news is all of the traffic lights are now in operation.
That's not including the flashing light, particularly at East Mall and East Atlantic and Pioneers Way. We're waiting on the power company to put the guy wire. That's the wire that supports the infrastructure, as well as a few in the Lukai area that needs to be repaired as well.
And as it relates to the cleanup process,
we're right behind Mary Star area, just behind that area in Sunset Park, collecting. We're going to move just north of that area into Guilford Crest area. Shortly after completing that, we're going to move into what you call hotspots, where my staff, inspectors will go and look at areas that still have significant amount of debris, and we're going to then begin to go to those areas. We don't suspect our normal schedule will come into play until early in the new year.
It's Talia Hall, ZNS Network News.
In other news, the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce concerned about the impact Hurricane Matthew has had on the business sector and is working along with affected islands, including Grand Bahama, to reestablish business as quickly as possible. Chamber President Edison Sumner says this damage is compounded by the recent World Economic Forum report that rates the Bahamas at 121 when it comes to the ease of doing business. A further decline over the previous rating. Sumner says because of this, it is essential to demonstrate support to the business sector.
It's important for us to demonstrate that we can give as much support to the small business sector, to the business community at large, private sector at large throughout the country. And it's important for us to show the resiliency of the private sector in the Bahamas. And I think we saw coming out of last year's hurricane that the private sector stepped up to the plate in a very significant way, provided support to the business community and to many of the humanitarian needs as well. This time around, those efforts, of course, will have to be doubled down because the impact of Hurricane Matthew, as bad as Joaquin was, Matthew we estimated to be at least 4 times what we dealt with from Matthew last year, not only in terms of the physical damage infrastructure, but also the cost that will be associated with the recovery efforts.
Now, the Chamber is planning a national telethon as a means to show support to the business sector. A similar initiative was held last year following Hurricane Joaquin, and that telethon was organized by the Rotary Clubs of the Bahamas and the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce. Sumner says the upcoming telethon will raise resources to assist small businesses.
We did one last year after Joaquin passed. Raised a very successful telethon, raised significant sums that were used to assist the many businesses throughout the southeast Bahamas. We are planning another similar event in Nassau. We're going to be inviting the Grand Bahama Chamber to come down to be a part of that telethon to assist us in raising funds for Grand Bahama, for New Providence, for North Andros. And the funds that are raised, of course, will be put directly into those hurricane-impacted areas.
Switching gears now, the Grand Bahama Health Services is offering a critical vaccine free of charge. And tonight, an appeal is going out to parents to take advantage of this opportunity. Sabrina Brown explains.
Human papillomavirus HPV is said to be the most common sexually transmitted virus in the United States. Research shows that more than half of sexually active men and women are infected with HPV at some time in their lives. About 20 million Americans are currently infected, and about 6 million more get infected each year. While information suggests that that most HPV infections don't cause any symptoms and go away on their own, HPV can cause cervical cancer, the second leading cause of cancer deaths among women around the world. Dr. Valeria Ingram Wells, Senior Registrar in the Pediatric Department at the Rand Memorial Hospital, says the Grand Bahama Health Services is working to safeguard young people against this virus.
We do have the Gardasil vaccine that's available here at the Rand Memorial Hospital. It's for children ages 10 to 11. Those are the target persons, boys and girls. But anyone between the ages of 9 and 26 can come and receive the Gardasil vaccine.
Dr. Ingram Wells says there is a very high incidence of cervical cancer in the Bahamas, and parents should consider having their children vaccinated.
It's a three-part vaccine. You get it at the beginning, 2 months, and then 6 months. We've looked at the studies. It's recommended by AAP, it's recommended by CDC as well, and we have it available. It's free. The adverse side effects are very minimal. There are adverse effects, but minimal. So we still want to encourage parents to go ahead and have their child vaccinated.
But she believes some parents are still overwhelmed by a misconception surrounding the vaccine.
Why we want to have the child have it at 10 or 11 years of age is because we want them to have it before they become adults and become sexually active, as the cervical cancer is caused by the HPV virus, and the virus is contracted through sexual contact. And what we want to prevent them is that they have the vaccine, they have the immunity before they start to become sexually active. So we're not encouraging young children to become sexually active earlier. So I think that's a misconception. What we're encouraging is for them to have that protection early on.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
And now it is time to ask the doctor.
I'm Dr. Monique Pratt. Welcome. Today I will wrap up my discussion on IH's question regarding blood clots. Blood clots can be dangerous. Seek immediate emergency care if you experience any of the following: swelling, redness, or pain in the arm or leg, a cough that produces bloody sputum, a fast heartbeat, lightheadedness, difficult or painful breathing, chest pain or tightness, pain extending to your shoulder, arm, back, or jaw, sudden weakness or numbness of your face, arm, or leg, sudden difficulty speaking or understanding speech, or sudden changes in your vision. Prolonged sitting or bed rest, smoking, stroke, or recent surgery can all put us at a higher risk of developing a blood clot, especially if you are obese. To reduce this risk, avoid sitting for long periods. If you travel by airplane, walk the aisle periodically. For long car trips, stop and walk around frequently. After you've had surgery or been on bed rest, the sooner you get up and move around, the better. Drink plenty of fluids when traveling to avoid dehydration. Change your lifestyle, lose weight, lower your blood pressure, stop smoking, and exercise regularly. I'm Dr. Monique Pratt, and this has been Ask the Doctor.
Stay with us. Ricardo Lightborn has a check on sports while we return.